Welcome to our Big Country Wheat update for this week, May 21st. Harvest is underway here in the Big Country. Kind of got kicked off a little bit last week or so, but then we had the rains come through late last week, and then now this week it's turning kind of hot and dry. Dried the fields out enough that the combines are running pretty hard and heavy right now. What we're hearing out of the fields, anywhere from 30 to 50 bushels the acre in some areas. So that's good news. We were expecting a pretty good harvest when we got here, and hopefully the wheat that's in the field can hang on and miss these storms that have been popping up around. According to Lanny Vincent over at Abilene Ag, some of the test weights coming through their elevator have been around 58 pounds, so that's a good deal. Cash price today, $5.65. Protein levels, they're checking at Abilene Ag, ranging from 10.8 to 14.6. That's quite a big range. Some, on the higher end, that's really good protein wheat for sure coming out of here, the Big Country. Today, we're joined with Dr. Mark Welch out of College Station. He's our state small grains economist, and Dr. Welch is going to give us a little insight on what's going on with the markets, where we're headed and whatnot, and some factors that are pushing some things one way or the other. So, Dr. Welch, glad to have you on today, and tell us a little about from your end what you're seeing in the market side of wheat.
Yeah, you bet, Steve. Great to be with you this afternoon. Appreciate the time to visit about what's been a pretty exciting and pretty dynamic wheat market as we're getting into harvest time for a lot of our Texas producers. If I could, Steve, could I share my screen and just got a couple of things I'd like to maybe highlight here, and I will see if I can pick the right one. And let's try that one right there, and hopefully you'll seeing the screen with the Kansas winter wheat crop condition ratings.
Yes.
And what that would indicate is we've, of course, been watching conditions in Kansas, the number one hard red winter producing state, up until about the end of March. We were looking at a share of crop in Kansas that was rating good and excellent, that was above 50%. And why that is so important, the last time Kansas set an all-time record high wheat yield was back in 2016, and we were running those kind of averages, those kind of numbers for wheat rated that good and excellent number, and we were beating that week to week. So it looked like we had a crop that was coming in with condition rating above what was at that time the all-time record high wheat yield. In the last several weeks, it's gotten drier, particularly out in the western part of the state, and those condition ratings have fallen off pretty strongly. And so I think from these kind of indicators, giving up hope that we might have a record wheat yield for hard red winter wheat here in 2024, although there is some still really good wheat out there. You're seeing, of course, the wheat coming in out there in the Big Country. Hearing some reports out of Kansas. They just completed their 2024 wheat quality tour, and where they kind of crisscross the state and estimate wheat yields and production numbers across the state of Kansas. And while their wheat yield is not a record any longer, still a large degree of variation in the numbers, but some pretty good numbers coming out of Kansas. So one factor driving the wheat market here the last couple of weeks has been the concern of this crop as it got dry in some key areas here kind of late in the season, and how that might affect then our production prospects. It looks like this chart kind of indicates why Kansas has become a question mark. But one key part of the world that's really driven that, and I hope you can see this chart as well. Now I've switched over to a map of the southern part of Russia. And what I'm focusing on here is this area between the Caspian Sea and the Black Sea. That part of Russia extends down between Ukraine over here on the left and Kazakhstan over here on the right. This is the primary hard red winter wheat production in Russia.
Mark, I don't think the screen changed.
Okay, let me see if I can get off of that one. Appreciate that heads up. And what I'm going to do is close that one. And then how about that one? Nope. share window, that one. Now, I
There
bet
we
you're
go.
seeing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now we're
It-
looking at over in Russia and Ukraine.
That's exactly right. This would be one of the top wheat producing areas of the world, the top winter wheat producing areas of Russia, kind of in this neck of land, again, that extends down here between the Black Sea and the Caspian Sea, would be a major wheat producing area for that part of the world. And one thing that we can click on is a precipitation map. And I clicked on an area kind of right in the middle of that zone we were just looking at. And that'll show us the cumulative precipitation in this area from January the 1st. And it's going to look like above normal precipitation up right until about the middle of March. And then, just like we've seen in a large part of western Kansas, it's gotten dry right here late in the season.
It's almost a mirror image of Kansas.
Exactly right. And so you can see how that creates some real concern of this late season yield potential. And perhaps even more bothersome than what's happening in the precipitation. And again, about the end of March, we fell below what the average since the 1st of January. And we've just been flat now for about 6 weeks, almost 2 months. We could go back over here and change that number to minimum temperature. And again, you can kind of see this area that we're focusing in on, this main production wheat area. I'm right back in that same weather reporting station. And what's happened there is that as we got into late February and March, this is the average minimum temperatures, the gray line. The red lines indicate observed minimum temperatures in 2024. And you can see the degree to which we warmed up considerably in late March and early April. We were quite above normal in terms of these minimum temperatures. But then look what's happened here in the last couple of weeks. That line right here, if I could kind of draw that across, this is the 0 line right about here. 0 degrees centigrade, that's 32 degrees Fahrenheit. We're below freezing relatively late in the season in a crop that's maturing earlier than normal in a key production area of the world.
That could have a huge impact
That
on
gets
their
the market
production.
excited. And,
Yeah.
and so, and of course, we know with wheat, you really don't know the impact of all these factors of drought and frost and freeze and until you really run the combines. But it's this kind of weather tracking that's really raising some concern then in our wheat market. And so if we're showing these kinds of areas that we're really worried about, where this thing could go, this is where a lot of that's coming from. Is that we've got a key growing area. Russia has supplied. They're the biggest wheat exporter in the world right now, and so if they have some issues that are related to export potential, whether it's 2024 production, whether it's other disruptions in trade caused by the war with Ukraine and shipping from that part of the world, any of those factors that disrupt the flow of grain from a key production area like this, we can kind of see why it would create those kind of concerns.
Certainly would. So do you think impact wise, to our, locally here, folks that are harvesting right now, depending on what they have contracts set up on their crop, but would it be beneficial to think about putting some wheat in storage?
And that's, as we look at this, what this market has done, over these last couple of weeks and where this thing could go. Let me see if I can bring up our price chart right quick, and let's just talk about that here for just a second of kind of what this market is doing right now and where the potential might be in this thing. Just a couple of weeks ago, I was getting calls from producers that, gosh, I hope we can sell this crop with a number that doesn't have a 4 in the front of it. And then now, of course, with this rally in the market, we've had some opportunity, back at $5 wheat. Even if this thing get a little stronger, if we get the basis a little better, might be some opportunity for some from $6 wheat. Just a big change in this situation. Let me see if you can see this price chart here in my PowerPoint slides there, Steve. Are you seeing this Kansas City wheat?
Yes.
And in my newsletter every week, I just have a sample, marketing plan. And what this would demonstrate is back a year ago, when that Kansas City 2420 Kansas City contract was trading around $8, perhaps some opportunity to get some sales done. We've been in this long slide, then starting about this time a year ago, all the way down into now the first part of April. And now we've had this little rally in the market. Again, a month ago, we were worried we were going to sell, $4 cash week. Then we put almost $2 on this market. A nice rally right, we've got some weight ready to come to town. And so how do you play a market like this?
Yeah, it's certainly good timing.
Exactly. A good crop, and maybe $5.65 is not a great price, but it's a pretty good price compared to where we were just a couple of weeks ago, and what we thought we might be looking at.
Yeah, and if we're seeing yields here in the big country, 30 to 50 bushels, that is really good for our area, and certainly even at 5.65 is a pretty decent return.
Right.
There on the crops.
And the marketing challenge is, okay, so what do you do? How do you manage these kind of situations? Do you hang on? Have we opportunity to run this thing back up to, $7.50, $8 on the board? Well, we've been there not that long ago, or might be looking at a situation that typically what happens, if you look at your seasonal tendencies in the wheat market, we typically get a rally in May. This red line would be what you'd expect the market to do. Normally we'd get this run up here in March and then another one in May. Well, we didn't get to March, and then fall right back as we get into harvest. That's what you would expect this market to do, and so we'll see how it plays out. So
could quite possibly we get the rally now, but it may take a downswing.
And we just don't know. Yeah. So kind of what would be the consequences if you happen to sell it all right now and this market were to keep going higher? That's really not the worst thing in the world that could happen to us. If we're selling this 24 crop at a much better price than we thought we were going to get just a short period of time ago, and we think, well, if it keeps going up, well, what have I missed in terms of marketing opportunities? Well, I think in terms of what potential does that create for our next wheat crop. For example, we're going to start setting the price insurance price, the crop insurance price for the 25 wheat crop when we start getting into mid-August. If this thing continues to rally, we could be setting ourselves up for a much better crop insurance base price for 2025 than we thought we were going to have again just a few weeks ago. And if we get a better base price, that might be some real opportunities to buy up our insurance coverage in an era of relatively high prices, which puts us much better profit potential and price protection moving into the next crop year. So again, looking forward, where this may lead us to be, if we sold it too soon and it keeps going up, yeah, nobody likes to do that and leave that money on the table. But the consequences of that can still have some real benefits for us if it does create a better environment for what we're going to do down the road.
Yeah, certainly help our risk management strategies going into the 25 crop.
Look, because nobody knows what this thing's going to do.
And hopefully that's where we wind up. So
there you go. And if you again, might there be some benefits if this thing does stay hot and dry in Russia as we're going to we're in a world in which the world is much more driven by what happens to that Russian crop than we've been in a long, long time, because of the dominance Russia plays in the world wheat market today. And so watch the weather in that key growing area of Russia. That's what's going to drive your wheat market.
And certainly, so that's in that area, and what you've shown us today, if they're getting that cold of temperatures and their crop is in a mature stage as I think it is, then that could definitely spell some freeze damage to that wheat.
Right, sure. And that's the question. They'll be a little further behind, our U.S. crop, but yet they'll be cutting wheat, July and early August. So they're coming right along as well. And we know you can have pockets of wheat that can get really damaged when those based on elevation, the topography of the field, makes a huge difference. One side of a field to another, the top of the field and the bottom of the field, what the wheat, coming out was going to look like. And so it's going to take machines running to really know, but that's what's driving the uncertainty in the market right now.
And, we talk about Kansas a lot, which Kansas is a huge key player in our domestic wheat production. What about other areas, maybe the Pacific Northwest, that Palouse Prairie region that produce a lot of wheat? Are you hearing anything elsewhere?
Hearing pretty good reports. If you look at condition ratings around the country, the national winter wheat crop production ratings that come out every week, we're above normal. And so they back off a little with Kansas backing off, like we were just showing. But if you look at the national ratings and create a crop index based on the percent of the crops rated very poor and fair and so forth, we still have a national winter wheat crop condition index that's running above normal. Go back over the last 10 or 20 years. So
yeah, across the board,
the crops in good shape.
Good year for the United States, I guess, as a whole for wheat as of right now in most areas.
Much better. Certainly than where we've been the last couple of years. These two La Nina winters that we've had, it's nice to have something a little more positive to talk about.
It certainly is. And we couldn't be more thankful for that, if anything. We've had some tough years. I'm hearing even here some, our crop, some folks are saying maybe the best that they've seen in years. And a few storms have rolled through the area. We have had reports of some hail damage. You were down earlier in the month for our wheat tour, and obviously you saw some hail damage there on our plots just east of Tuscola. That's just, I guess, the nature of it of this time of year anyway. But a few more storms forecasted today, I think, east of our region. Tomorrow we have higher chances around here. Hopefully the guys are out in the fields and running there, getting the wheat out as quick as they can, and maybe you can avoid those storms. So Dr. Welch, thank you for joining us today. Appreciate you being on. Give us some great information, some insight to the wheat markets. Thanks for listening to our podcast, if you will, today, and hope to see you next time.